Hey, I'm Calvin. I've been camping as long as I can remember. Ever since I was a kid, I always go camping with my parents. I always thought it was really fun.
So I'm Christian. I've been camping since I was probably 5 or 6. I would have to say my fondest memories of camping would be out backpacking in Colorado with some of my friends. It was just an amazing trip, so much cool wildlife.
My favorite part of camping is just getting out of the house and going around and hiking through the woods. And it's nice to get away from just the stuffy indoors and out into the middle of nowhere. I really enjoy that. And being with friends and family, that's also usually fun.
I mean, it's nice to go out and be in nature by yourself, but when you're with people, it's like it's a party. Everyone's together, they're having a good time. You sit around the campfire, talk about stupid stuff, reminisce about old times. Yeah.
Camping usually helps me relieve stress. Probably not for everybody, but I find it fun. I know some people who hate the outdoors, and camping would not be a stress reliever for them, but I always find it nice.
Camping is definitely a way of relieving stress for me. I mean, it's like nothing else for me. I just get out there and then I have nothing to think about.
One of the important things, at least camping around here, to think about when you're preparing for camping is the weather. Because if it's a hot, rainy weekend, that's just gonna be awful. Rain is not really that fun. Unless you have a camper, then it's okay, but you're just gonna be sitting in your camper till it stops raining. So it's not that great. And if it's really hot, you're not gonna sleep well, you're just gonna be sweating all day, and it's not near as fun.
Weather can make or break your camp out, because if you're not prepared for it, you're gonna be miserable. And if you're over prepared for it, you're gonna be miserable too. I generally think that like if you get wet or something and then it gets really cold, that's another thing to worry about because you'll get hypothermia from that.
When you're preparing for camping, you need to make sure you have all the right gear. You need to make sure you have a good place to sleep, so like a tent, something to sleep on, and a blanket or sleeping bag or something. You don't need a sleeping bag. You can just bring a blanket, but it's really nice to have something soft to sleep on. You can pick up an air mattress from Walmart for like 20 bucks. And also a tent.
All right, so my kind of thought process for packing my bag would be at the bottom of my bag, I usually keep my sleeping bag because I don't need to get into that until I'm like set up and ready to go for the night. And then the next thing would probably be clothing. Clothing would go on top of that because I don't really need that either. Then above that, I would have my food. Food's gonna be up there. But snacks will be at the top of my bag probably. And then in between the food and that, I would have rain gear, a hat, maybe a thicker shirt or something to put on if it gets cold. And then on the outside of my bag, I'd put my tent or my hammock.
And then you also need to make sure you have all your food planned out. So something to cook it if you want to cook food.
So when you're backpacking out in backcountry, you really only have this tiny little stove and a little propane tank. And you can pretty much only cook anything in a pot. Everything has to be done in a pot. You can't really bring like foods that need to be kept cold. Everything's got to be freeze dried for it. And you can only bring things like ramen, noodles. Noodles are great. Packaged meats and stuff like tuna. So water is pretty important. Speaking from experience, I've gotten very, very dehydrated on camping trips, and it's because I don't drink enough water. So what I've learned to do is when I need water or something for a camping trip, I'll get like 6 Nalgene's, I'll fill them up all the way to the top with water and put some ice in it, and it usually lasts me a good 2-day to 3-day backpacking trip.
It's always nice to just sit around the campfire at night, roast some marshmallows, tell stories, play some games. I've always really enjoyed that.
My all-time favorite thing to do with friends while camping. It's gotta be either cooking or going out and playing Manhunt. There were some good times playing Manhunt.
I also really enjoy going out for a hike, because most places you go camping would have at least a trail to hike on, which is fun. If you're primitive camping, you'll obviously be hiking out to your campsite. Also, sometimes there's canoeing, which is I really enjoy canoeing and going down a river, usually nice and peaceful.
My go-to thing to do when I'm camping by myself or just sitting around by myself and no one's around, I would either be taking a nap, eating, or I'd be going out and like hiking or something like that. Because less people, less noise when you're hiking, more animals you see. Yeah, the biggest reason to go on a hike or something and get out there is, yeah, avoid people. People get annoying. I mean, city life is fun and all, but like people are rude, they don't treat you very well, and then when you go out to the nature, there's no one to do that to you.
My favorite place to go camping is, it's not a state park, it's called Lakewood Retreat. It's in Brooksville. I don't quite like state parks as much because it's a lot more rules that you have to follow from the park rangers. State parks are still fun too, but I do really enjoy that campsite.
Favorite places to go camping in this area for backpacking probably, I'd say would be Myakka State Forest. It's one of the best places out there. I built a trail out there for people to use, get from the parking lot to the loops. And then another good place would be Myakka State Park, which is different from the forest, but you have a lot of freedom to go around there and stuff. It's huge.
I think it's a good idea for people to try camping. I know some people are kind of scared to go camping because they don't really know what they're doing. So there's plenty of people who do know what they're doing and would be willing to go with you if you want to go out and go camping.
I tend to try to get people who haven't gone out there and stuff to go and try it, because you never know if you're gonna like it or not. I mean, glamping is fun and all. I find that car camping or glamping in an RV or something isn't really my kind of camping, but I know people who love that and they can't stand to go backpacking like I like to do.